It was a decade that saw drastic increases in production values, synthetic sounds, and the size of our hair. Welcome to another episode of Manifest Possessed, and on today's list, we will be continuing our series on the greatest albums of all time with a look back at the 1980s. The decade saw the path to synthpop being laid out through the death of disco, while previous generation staples like heavy metal enjoyed full-blown indulgence. Bands were selling out 10,000 plus seat arenas, and the spoils led to many artists producing albums strictly from formulas rather than substance. Even still, the 80s saw a select few artists craft exceptional albums with new technologies and healthy budgets. Curious to hear what we picked? Let's get into it. Kicking off our list is a test of the limits of creativity, as well as the industry's copyright infringement laws. Number 5 on today's list is Paul's Boutique by the Beastie Boys. Roughly 95% of the album's music was comprised of samples. Everyone from Johnny Cash to Bob Marley had their material appear in the final mix. The group spent $250,000 on sample clearances during the production, but went ahead and used some of what was not authorized. The list is so extensive that the group is still facing lawsuits decades after its release. Yet the legal actions wouldn't come if the album wasn't any good, and it's more than just good. The album consistently ranks among the best hip-hop albums of all time. Our number 4 entry reminds us to look deeper into some of our favorite songs. They might not be as simplistic as we hope. It's Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA. The energetic live feel to the record's sound was a sonic blanket that covered the themes of desolation and misrepresentation of American culture. The groundwork for today's social structure of the haves and have-nots was being laid quickly, and the album's Nice Skies Finish Last themes dealt with those feeling abandoned and were resonating with a growing audience. The release of this album led to a revival in American heartland music, foreshadowing the resurgent careers of similar artists like Tom Petty, John Mellencamp, and Bob Seger. Number 3 on today's list is an example of how if you give a little bit now, you get a lot back later. It's Prince's Purple Rain. Following the huge success of his previous album, 1999, Prince made it clear to his record company that he would only re-sign with them if they financed a full-length feature film starring himself and many of his unknown musician friends from Minneapolis. While it took a while to find the means to do this, Prince finally got his wish and began crafting the music for the film's soundtrack. With his expert production skills and musicianship, along with the full force of his band The Revolution, Prince finished his pop and soul masterpiece with a range of electricity few in the world can match. Our runner-up for the best album of the 1980s is a word of encouragement to young bands struggling with their musical direction. If separate ideas seem too different to work together, try them both. You might be surprised at what comes out. Number 2 on today's list is The Joshua Tree by U2. After notable success of their previous effort, U2 collectively struggled with their direction of their next record. Bono wished to continue working in the realm of American roots music, while The Edge wanted to pursue sonic experimentation. The two agreed to pursue their own interest, and what melded together was the perfect blend of multifaceted emotion ever put on tape. Bono's striking lyrics accented the echo chamber masterfully crafted by The Edge. The record that critics thought was great but had no identifiable hits went on to sell 12 million copies worldwide. Taking the top spot on today's list is an example of, well, does this album even really need an introduction? Our pick for the best album of the 1980s is Michael Jackson's Thriller. Producer Quincy Jones aimed for a steady collection of radio-friendly hits, and he could not have been more successful. Billie Jean, Thriller, Beat It, and The Girl Is Mine are all chart-topping hits that have evergreen status in the world of popular music. With over 40 million copies sold worldwide, Thriller is a necessity in any music lover's collection and has solidified its status as a cornerstone of pop culture. And that will do it for today's list. Feel like we left anything out? What were your favorite albums of the 1980s? Follow us on Twitter at ManifestPossessed to let us know what you think, and don't forget to subscribe as we count down the best albums of the 1990s in our next video. Until then, I'm Adam Unkindled for Manifest Possessed, and I'll see you next time.